Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for attending the virtual meeting of my Education and Skills Decision Day. This meeting is being webcast on YouTube via the County Council website. If I can just move us to the agenda. We have no deputations today. There are no key decisions. So if we go straight to the non-key decisions, and the first one of those is the attainment of children and young people in Hampshire Schools 2020. And
I'm sorry, Chair, I didn't mean to cut across you. I was just going to introduce the item if I can.
Fantastic.
The thing about this one is, and you'll have obviously heard this morning in select committees, a detailed discussion of it. And the importance for me was around marking this year's attainment in whatever form it took by children and young people in Hampshire in some way, and having some analysis of where we've got to, albeit that it's not in the same way as we could do previously because we didn't have the same exams and so forth. But it did feel important that we made public where Hampshire children were. So that's the purpose of the report, really. David's here if you want to ask any further questions, but I'm conscious we gave it a very thorough looking at it this morning in select committee.
Thank you, Steve. David, is there anything you want to add to this morning's?
I think I feel like I had a thorough going over in this morning's committee, and I can't possibly think what further I could add to it. Actually, no, the bit I do want to underline is I think there was a concern about going into this process around teacher assessments that disadvantaged children could come out worse off as a result of it. And I would want to underline the fact that in Hampshire schools, on the basis of the results that have been reported back to us to school, but by schools, that is not the case. That gap with their non-disadvantaged peers has closed, and how important it is now for schools to reflect on that and to think about what are the reasons and what it is that they might do in the future with those two sort of distinct groups of children. Those who, even though it's been teacher assessed, haven't improved their standard, and that group who clearly have been able to improve as a result of teacher assessment, results being teacher assessed. What does that mean for the future? But those are the points I'd really want to underline.
Thank you for that, and thank you for such a thorough and well written report. It's absolutely brilliant. Councillor Stallard, is there anything that you wish to?
Only to add my thanks to both David and to Brian Pope for their presentation this morning. It was, as David has already indicated, it was a very thorough presentation, and I thought many of the questions raised were very pertinent and very relevant, and showed the concern expressed by members who were present. And I think your responses did much to help alleviate those concerns. And I'm sure that members would appreciate that. It's an extremely difficult time, as we know, for all members of the teaching profession. And I think in the circumstances that they, like the school team at the County Council, have done a superb job. And I think we are very, very grateful to everyone concerned. I understand their concerns, but you can go away reassured that you dealt with it very well indeed. And I'm sure that people now feel confident that our young people continue to be in good hands. So thank you both very much.
Absolutely, I can completely echo that. And I think the fact that the select committee decided to add to their recommendation as well about thanking the schools and the colleges really shows how appreciative we are and what a good job everyone has done over these past few months. So with that in mind, I don't have any further questions. I think, as everyone said, it was thoroughly discussed and scrutinised during the select committee. And if I move to the recommendation, which is item 2, that the contents of this report are noted by the Executive Member for Education and Skills, and I'd like to approve that recommendation, please.
Thank you, Councillor Shell. I didn't know if you'd also want me to include your thanks as well as an additional recommendation.
Yes, please. That would be lovely.
Schools and
Thank you.
colleges. Thank you.
That moves us on to the second and final item of my decision day, which is the enlargement of Samuel Cody Specialist Sports College and Ecknield School.
So, again, Chair, thank you for this. And this also was highlighted tangentially this morning, wasn't it, in Select Committee? And obviously the reason behind this is the growth, the underlying reason is the growth in the numbers of children with special educational needs. I don't know if Pete or Brian want to add anything further to what's in the report.
Don't think I've got anything to add that we didn't go through at the briefing, Chairman. Much needed places, and this is just moving us along in the next phase of the consultation. The last phase went well.
Nothing from me, thank you.
Okay. I would absolutely agree that these are much needed spaces, and it's brilliant that we are able to be able to do this as a county council. I don't know, Councillor Stallard, have you got anything that you would wish to add to either of these?
Well, it's going to sound terribly boring, but I'm really endorsing all the good and positive comments that have been made previously. I'm always taken aback by the magnificent effort of our team who design and build schools, Peter and his team. And this is much needed, and it will be much appreciated, and it is indeed a good news story. So congratulations to all who've made it possible.
Absolutely. So, just to make it nice and short, I will move to the recommendations, and that's that the Executive Member of Education and Skills approves the publication of 2 statutory public notices under Section 19(1) of the Education and Inspections Act 2006 for both to expand and change the designation of Samuel Cody Specialist Sports College, Farnborough, with effect from the 1st of September 2022, and to expand Ecknield School, Andover, with effect from the 1st of September 2022. As already said, much needed places, really privileged to be able to do this, and happy to approve those recommendations. Thank you everyone for all your hard work on this. I really do appreciate it. And on that note, thank you very much for attending this decision day, and I will hand over to the Executive Lead Member of Children's Services and Young People, Councillor Patricia Stallard.
Hello and good afternoon everyone. And again, I repeat my thanks to you for attending this virtual meeting of my Children's Services and Young People Decision Day. This, as you know, because you've already been informed, this webcast is being put out on YouTube and also on the County Council website. Jackie, I'm right in assuming, am I not, that there are no deputations at all?
No, no deputations.
Right, thank you very much. We've got our first item on the agenda is item 1. It's a Children's Services Procurement Approval to Spend. Now, there is attached to this an exempt appendix, but I'd like to make the statement up front that I've already been briefed on the exempt appendices, and I will certainly take that into account when making my decision this afternoon. So I do not intend at this moment in time to go further into that appendices. So with that in mind, I will ask, is it Laura who will be introducing this one?
Yep. Thank you, Chair. Yeah, Laura will introduce this one. The key thing that I would want to say before Laura comes in is just that, and I know you know this, but for the public record, this is not new money. This is how we spend existing money. That's an important point to make in these financially straitened times. So, Laura, is there anything you want to add?
A very good point, well made.
No, thank you, Chair. So the report has 2 requests. The first is an extension to the Ifa Framework, which is our fostering framework, and that's a spend of 14.5 million, but as we've said, it's from existing budgets. And the second is an approval to spend for up to 30 million on a new post-16 contract for our high needs support. Again, that's from existing revenue budgets. Both of these contracts already exist. The first one, the fostering framework, is a request under Regulation 72 for a 1-year extension to that framework. The reason for that, as I've outlined in paragraph 8, is because of COVID and the market's capacity to respond, and we felt it was prudent to request that 1-year extension. We would then be re-tendering ready for March 22, which will be alongside our other fostering framework level 3, and I'll be returning later in the year for approval to spend for those combined for next year. The second request was for, as I said, our 16 plus high needs. We're re-tendering this one early. Our current framework runs from January 19 to December 22, but we've exceeded our expectations on that, and so we need to sort of go back out to market and re-tender that early, and that's where the request for 30 million over 6 years from existing revenue budget is from.
Thank you. Steve, would you like to add anything to that at all?
No, thank you. I think that's a very thorough and helpful summary from Laura.
All right. Does anybody else wish to make any further comment? No? Right. Well, thank you very much indeed. As I've said, I've already had a very detailed briefing on this, and I have read the exempt appendices, and there is nothing further to add in those appendices to that which I've already been previously briefed. So the recommendations I set out, I believe, on page 3 of the report, and the first one is to approve a 1-year extension of the current contract for independent fostering agencies, Lot 1 and Lot 2, and the extension would be from the 1st of April this year to the 31st of March next year. Approval is being sought for the additional spend of 14 million for the extension of 1 additional year to be funded, and this is important, to be funded from the existing revenue budgets, as Steve has already pointed out to us this afternoon. And the second recommendation for me to consider is to approve the spend under the 16 plus high support needs accommodation framework. The value of the spend under this will be 20 million for the initial 4 years up to 2025, with an option to extend to a 6-year term, that is 4 years plus 2 years, a total spend of 30 million. And again, this is to be funded from existing budgets. And again, I think that's a point worth me noting. So with both of those recommendations, I am very pleased to approve both of those recommendations this afternoon.
Thank you, sir.
So that will take us now on to item 2, which is the revenue budget for children's services. Just let me get up on my screen. Now, are you going to introduce this, Steve?
Yes, well, this is another item, as you know, Councillor Stallard, that had a very thorough level of scrutiny this morning at our select committee, where members went through it in detail. I don't propose to go through it in the same amount of detail now, but I'm more than happy if you've got any questions either from myself or any of the members of DMT, or indeed Erica, who's our finance business partner.
Erica, did you wish to add anything further to that which you said this morning?
No, I think that was quite thorough, thank you.
Does anybody else wish to add anything, make any comment? As you said, Steve, the select committee this morning I was quite impressed by the way that they took an interest in it and that they scrutinised both this document and the following document. I felt that they did recognise, the members of the select committee, they did recognise the particularly demanding environment in which children's services have to operate. I'm talking about the financial environment here. They did raise some concerns about the national funding for the high needs block and central government funding, which was for 1 year only in this particular instance. And you can well understand those concerns, but I think they were right to raise them. But none of the issues which they raised contradicted anything in this particular paper. In fact, they showed the utmost support for all the items in the paper. So if you have no further comments to make, then the recommendations are that I approve the revised budget set out in Appendix 1, the summary revenue budget set out in Appendix 1, and changes to the local schools funding as set out in paragraphs 77 to 81. And I'm very happy to approve all those points this afternoon. I think that is it. Yes, that's it. So that then takes us on to the next item on the agenda, which is the Children's Services Capital Programme.
Again, Chair, I'll invite Pete to, as you know, it's a thorough scrutiny this morning. I'll just invite Pete if he's got any additional comments he wants to make.
I don't think so, Chairman, but happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Peter, thank you very much indeed for the document and for all the briefings that you and your team have given me beforehand, and for the presentation and the explanation this morning. I think this is quite an exciting programme. I hope other people are also excited by it. It is a significant and an impressive building programme, but it is all planned and scheduled and on target at this moment in time, and that is no mean feat in these days of COVID and other issues which get in the way. I did note that following quite intense scrutiny this morning, lots of questions and interest by members of the Select Committee, that the voting on this particular paper was unanimous. It was unanimously supported, and therefore, unless anyone has any particular point that they wish to raise with me this afternoon, I will be more than content to approve the recommendations 1 to 10 on pages 31 and 32. I assume that there are no objections. No objections, right? Therefore, I do, as I say, and repeat that I approve all the recommendations. They are numbered in my script, numbers 1 to 10 on pages 31 and 32. Thank you. So that now takes me to item 4, which would normally be the exclusion of the press and public, but I don't think we've got any public today. And I'm not sure we've got any press either. But that said, I think I have to...
I think Councillor Stallard, you indicated earlier you don't feel the need to go into exempt session as you've already considered the exempt appendix when undertaking your decision. So there will be no exempt session, so we will move straight on. So are you happy for me to stop the broadcast?
I think that is absolutely it. I think, yes, we
lovely.
Stop. I think that's...
Please, can the broadcast be stopped?